are Locked On Rays, your daily Tampa Bay Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my name is Kevin Weiss.
I'm Ulises Sambrano.
And we're the host of the Locked On Rays podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you for making Locked On Rays your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On Rays is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube at Locked On Rays. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Locked On Rays. And you can email us anytime, lockedonrays@gmail.com. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, it is where the game starts.
Kevin, we have an announcement, a big announcement in this podcast.
The lockout is still ongoing.
Yes, and Mr. Nick Labrico has become the 216th subscriber on the YouTube channel. Let's get
it. Very good. Mike Zunino's batting average from 2021.
That's done. So guess what, people? We're going step by step on our way to 1,000.
Yes.
Okay, so next up, league average, batting average of the 2021 season. We said it was between 231 and 233. Okay, let's just call it 230.
Okay.
So that's the next stop, okay? Let's get to 230, people. We can do it.
I like it. I did mention the lockout at the top there. As far as I know, the lockout is still ongoing, unfortunately. And it brings up the question, there's going to be other forms of baseball that you can watch if you're inclined. There's college baseball. There's, I guess, high school baseball.
Yeah.
The minor leagues will be starting the season as normal.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, will you be paying more attention to those outlets of baseball, or are you as a fan just focused on MLB or bust?
Personally, I do think my attention has kind of drifted to other things. I mean, not only baseball. Like, I did go to a USF game, and that was really fun.
Yes.
I will pay attention to the minor leagues probably more than I ever have, to be honest. Yes. And also getting more into soccer, internationally, like Spanish league, English league. So my attention is now up for grabs.
Yes.
And that is a problem that MLB just made itself have.
Same. And it is March, which means you're going to have March Madness. Before you know it, there's going to be NBA playoffs. Before you know it, there's going to be NHL playoffs. Before you know it, you're going to have the NFL draft. I mean, it is technically NFL draft season with the NFL Combine happening. So there's a lot of other directions that I'm being pulled right now. I'll say this. I am not going to be following the standings day in and day out of the Durham Bulls and the Bowling Green Hot Rods. If there's an opportunity to watch a minor league game in the Tampa Bay area, I will go to that game. Right. But it's not like I am going to, what did this prospect do last night? I'm not going to be reading the blurbs and the news items of what Curtis Mead did the night before or the week before. I'm not that invested into it. If there's a game locally, I will be. I'll make more of an effort to maybe attend that game, like USF or Tampa Tarpons, whatever it may be. But as of today, I mean, if the lockout keeps going on, we might be Locked On Rays prospects.
Well, that's exactly my point. Like, you say that now, not checking the standings and that, but with the way that MLB and the MLBPA are behaving, and they're kind of dug in, and they both are entrenched in their positions, this doesn't seem like we're going to have baseball in April, at the earliest in May. So if that keeps going, though, I'm sure you're going to see Curtis Mead clippings, and you're going to read up a little bit more than you think right now. But hopefully not. Hopefully this lockout ends sooner than later. But man, I think we're in for a season where you do get to know a little bit more about college baseball. You do get to know a little bit about my minor leagues, and that's not awful. as an individual to have that knowledge, but it's awful for MLB.
Yes. In fact, I've gone to more college baseball games so far this season than I have in the last decade.
Yes.
And that is one. I went to one game
Same.
within the last couple weeks. But again, it's okay. I can get that experience now, as opposed to if spring training was going on. Sorry, USF baseball. Sorry, FGCU baseball. I'm not following your sport. But if I'm going to be down in there and it's like, I'm kind of aching for a baseball game, I'll go out and see it. Of course, it's a little bit of a different product where guys are topping out at 84, 85 miles an hour and using aluminum bats. But it is what it is. And that not to get into a whole thing here, but if you're a Division I college baseball program, one, you need to make sure you're selling you need to be having beer and alcohol, and don't take cash only. I'm a Rays fan, okay? I'm so used to cashless payments, so don't make it difficult on me where I have to know going in that I have to have cash when I didn't know that.
Oh,
so
how quickly people change.
Yeah. I just like to have the option. I want to have options. I don't want it. I'm calling out FGCU baseball right now.
Call out the Trop too, because they don't have cash options. Look, I remember when.
But everybody has a credit card, and everybody has.
Tell that to the 10-year-old who mows the neighbor's lawn, and he gets paid $10, man, and he goes to the Trop, and he wants to buy something.
He can wait for the guy to come. What is it called? The guy that walks around.
The vendor.
Yeah, the vendor.
Yeah,
they take cash.
Okay, well,
sure.
I don't know. Well, the point is, Kevin, aluminum bats throw me off. Yeah. So when I went to the USF game and the bling, it's a little bit to get used to. But I mean, look, USF has a great ballpark. It has a great atmosphere. It has a knowledgeable fan base. It has a knowledgeable fan base because you could see people in the stands. They knew the players. Obviously, there's a lot of more family and friends that go to college games,
right.
Especially, but it was nice to feel that ballpark atmosphere again, and being outside. Yeah. Obviously, it's a great one. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area, I recommend USF ball games. Kirkering, the pitcher the other day, he was throwing 92.
Oh wow!
So no, it was a good ball game. So
yeah. And if you go to USF Field, you may or may not have an opportunity to see a Bryce Harper, an Aaron Judge, Luke Voigt, Tim Beckham. Like who knows? Yeah. Anybody could be there this time of year.
They're training, man. They're making ads, commercials, and all that stuff over there. So yeah, it's a good place to be right now.
Yeah. So we did put a question out on Twitter. The ongoing MLB lockout will not affect minor league teams' ability to play. So do you plan to turn more attention to the minor league baseball season and follow it more closely over the next several weeks or months? About 73.5% say yes, I need my baseball fix, and 26.5% say no, only care about MLB.
I want to talk to that 26% and tell them, what are you doing right now in that small time frame of spring training? Let's say hour and a half that you're paying attention to baseball. There's no baseball. What are you doing with that hour and a half? Are you more turning into basketball? Are you turning into March Madness? Are you turning into soccer? Like, what is the biggest competition? Are you turning into hockey? Like, or are you just going on YouTube and watching some videos or reading books? What is that competition for MLB when there is no MLB?
Everything. All types of entertainment, and particularly in Florida this time of year with the beaches and everything. It's a lot. I totally get those folks that are like, I'm sick of the lockout. I need to find something else to do and watch. I'm going to do that. I'm not really focused on it right now until they come to an agreement. So it is interesting to think about and talk about. Let's move along here. Today we have, what are we doing? Rankings for defense in the AL East, correct?
That's right. How the division lines up defensively.
Yes. All right. We'll get to that. But first, we've got to tell you about BetOnline. BetOnline, it is the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. So head over to their website today, or use that mobile device of yours to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, it is where the game starts. I should note, just awesome odds, totals, player performance props, just so much that you can do on that site. Again, that is BetOnline. Okay, Ulises, we get into fielding and defensive rankings within the AL East division, like we've been doing with some of the other areas of this discussion. Really, I mean, I'm just going to flat out say it. Our bosses told us we need to do some sort of ranking thing, so that's what we're doing.
Inside baseball right there.
Exactly. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay. Just a word of caution here with the defensive and fielding metrics, people. I want to live in a world where traditional stats and analytics are in a tree, and they're sitting on a tree and they're kissing, and everything's just roses. Mm-hmm. That's the world I want to live in. However, we know that that's not the world that we all live in, and it's not reality, right? There's just this fight in between traditional stats and analytics. I don't understand it. I want them to complement each other and to live harmoniously.
They're the Hatfield and McCoys, Democrats and Republicans. Not gonna happen.
Exactly. So having said that, even though I want to live in that world, there is something I really think that we should take with a grain of salt, and those are defensive metrics.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the 2021 team defensive rankings by Defensive WAR in Fangraphs, the Rockies are number 2 on that list. So
how are you number 2 on that list, and you're basically the worst team in baseball, right? Or one of the worst teams in baseball, worst team in the National League.
You could make the argument that they're the worst franchise, like from top to bottom, like ownership down to the vending machine. So
again, and I got to be honest, I haven't watched a lot or any Rockies baseball, so I can't speak to their defense. I know that Nolan Arenado is no longer part of the team. They still have Trevor Story.
Right.
And who knows? Maybe they have good. That is their one thing, is they have a good defense, but they're not very good in everything else. But my take is, okay, their home games are on Coors Field. They're just giving up bombs. So there's just less opportunities to make errors and so forth.
Yeah, but then again, that outfield is quite big. So maybe there's kind of a leeway of that park adjusted. And so they're not supposed to have this much range. The point is, defensive metrics with a grain of salt, people. So what I did was take 3 of the metrics to understand them, and then rank them within the division. The 3 that I took was defensive WAR, defensive runs saved, and also outs above average. So I looked at the ranking between all of the AL East division teams.
Okay.
And I made my ranking out of that.
No UZR? No who has the most Gold Glove awards?
No UZR or Gold Gloves. Those were my 3.
Question. Out of outs above average,
Uh-huh.
defensive runs saved, and defensive WAR, which metric do you trust the most? Or you're trusting them about 33%?
33% each. Yeah, they're all weighted equally in my ranking. Yes.
I have a tendency to maybe lean toward outs above average a little bit.
I think that one's really good for outfielders. I think it measures
that's fair.
Outfielders
yeah,
really well.
They might have to come up with a better metric for
infielders.
Yeah, that's a good point. So shall we get into it?
Let's get into it. Very big preamble. At my number 5 spot, and that's maybe why I did the preamble. Number 5 spot, your New York Yankees.
The Yankees are your number 5, not the Orioles.
When you look at defensive WAR, they're 22nd. Okay? Compared to the Orioles, they're 13th. Defensive runs saved, the Yankees are 29th. The Orioles are 24th. And outs above average, Yankees are 25th, Orioles are 28th.
And these are from 2021.
Correct. Okay. So when I just put it all in my calculator and average those numbers up, I'm sorry, the New York Yankees, according to those 3 metrics, they are the worst fielding team. And one more thing. By putting them in 5th, who's their center fielder? Nobody knows right now.
Yeah.
Who's their shortstop? Nobody knows right now. Who's their catcher? Garrett Cole doesn't know that because he doesn't want Gary Sanchez behind the plate.
As Blake Snell once said,
slap blank defense.
Well, that.
Yeah.
And he also said this about Gary Sanchez. Couldn't block a beach ball.
There you go. So when your straight line in your defense is a couple of question marks and a third like, wow, okay, I would rather not have you in the starting lineup of a wild card game. Yeah, I'm gonna put you at the 5th spot there.
That is interesting. So I have the Orioles number 5, and I'll go ahead and say this: the Yankees are my number 4, but it's very close. The reason I put the Orioles number 5 is because I'm just going to go out and assume they're terrible at everything.
Okay.
They won't figure it out.
Fair.
And that's just kind of, I sort of said that, hey, I'm just basically always going to put the Orioles number 5 in these ranking system things that we're doing. But it's very, very close. In fact, you make a really good argument that as of today, again, once free agency happens, the complexion
that's another
of
conversation.
that is a totally different conversation. But as of today, yeah, that Yankees defense does not look good.
No.
I mean,
not even that, Kevin, but at first base, you got Luke Voigt, who apparently is going to be trade bait because he didn't like the way that they were treating him with his playing time in 2021. And Anthony Rizzo is a free agent. So who the hell is manning first base? So you don't know that. And at second base, Gleyber Torres, who failed a defensive shortstop, now he's going to be moved back to second base. DJ LeMahieu is not really a true third baseman.
Now.
So,
well, here's what I also say is that they traded Tyler Wade, their defensive specialist, to the Angels. As much as Rougned Odor has, gotten negativity in the press for his hitting or lack thereof at times, he's actually a good defender, and he's now in the Orioles. So that's a plus for them and a minus for the Yankees. Now, having said all this, Joey Gallo is a terrific, terrific defender, but that's one guy.
That's one guy.
And the Orioles, if actually you look at their outfield is actually really solid.
Austin Hayes is really good defensively.
Yeah. Cedric Mullins as well.
Yes.
Now the catching position, look, I think
Adley coming up.
Yeah, well, it depends when they go to him. Right now it's Jacob Nottingham. But that's the thing. I have the Orioles 5, the Yankees 4, but it's very close. And I assume you probably have the Orioles number 4.
You would be assuming incorrectly.
Really? Okay. Interesting.
Because no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh man, you threw me for a loop there. I was going to say really.
No, it's the Baltimore Orioles. The Baltimore Orioles are my 4th. But this was I think that the big whoop-a-doop on this list. Can we move on to 3rd place?
I think before we move on, we got to get some recharge and refuel.
God, you know what? I do feel like recharging a little bit of my batteries, but if I want to do it in a healthy and delicious way, what should I do?
Built Bar is really, I think, the only way to go.
That's right.
In fact, what the Yankees should do is they should just put a Built Bar out in center field.
Yeah.
And I think, maybe the Built Bar could get more catches than whoever they're going to put out there.
I would put that one but behind the dish instead of Gary Sanchez.
You just put Built Bars up the middle and you'll be all settled.
There you go.
Built Bar boxes.
You know why? Because they are covered in 100% real chocolate, and that would help. They are delicious. They're low calorie, high protein. You can replace candy bars with these, okay? Most Built Bars contain 130 calories, 4 grams sugar, 4 grams net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. They are good for you, and they are good for your taste buds as well. So what do you have to do? You go to built.com, and then you're going to use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your Built Bar order. And remember, they've got so many flavors: mint brownie, coconut almond, white chocolate, cookies and cream, the puffs. They're all delicious. So you go to built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order at built.com.
You can also save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years, and their prices are reliably low for every customer. They've got everything you need: brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. So be sure to go explore their easy-to-use website today to find this solution to your auto part needs. And when you go to their website, rockauto.com, be sure you write Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? So they know we sent you, to the right place. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. That is rockauto.com.
This was tough for me, number 3, because I kind of inside baseball there. I had a tie there, and I just at the pod I made a decision.
Last minute, you have to make a decision. I can't allow you to do the ties.
So
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not 5, 4A,
4A,
4B.
4B.
No, it's
well.
These are your rankings.
Well, this
these
is
are
it.
Your rankings.
I had to put Boston third because of Jackie Bradley Jr. coming back to the Red Sox in 2022. I had him fourth, tied with the Orioles. I didn't want to put him ahead of the Orioles. Like those 3 defensive metrics, the Orioles are graded better than the Red Sox. But the tiebreaker was Jackie Bradley Jr. for me. That guy is really, really good. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
With the stick, it's a wet newspaper. But with the glove, it's Kiermaier-esque.
Yes.
And you have to respect that. So ultimately, I gave them the bump up at third place. But again, not really wowing me, the Boston Red Sox. Defensive WAR, 20th in the league. Defensive run save, 18th in the league. Outs above average, 30th. They're not a good defensive team. They really aren't. And I know they had the flashes with Hunter Renfroe, who is no longer there.
Yeah.
Who is going to be their first baseman? You don't know. I
guess Bobby Dahlback, right?
Maybe. I mean, can you write that down with pen instead of a pencil? Devers has never really wowed me at third.
I think he's getting a little bit better, but he's still below average, I would say.
I think he has gotten better.
He's there for the bat.
Yeah. And Bogarts, who I would have highlighted with a bright neon pink highlighter, he's in the 3rd percentile for outs above average in the shortstop position. So that surprised me. So again, it was really tough for me to not put him at tie at 4th. I'll give him the 3rd because of Jackie Bradley Jr., but honestly, they are not good.
That's interesting. I actually have the Blue Jays 3rd, and we did this exercise a little bit differently because I didn't totally put a whole bunch of weight into the defensive metrics because again, you would have one source saying one thing, another being completely different, and it's hard to really go off of that. I just sort of look at what's on paper and go from there. And when I look at the Blue Jays as my number 3 team, the thing that stands out to me is that they're basically average across the board defensively, which I guess is fine when you're looking at this. I don't know if they have within their defense. Well, I guess, did Lourdes Gurriel win a Gold Glove?
Oh, I think he was dominated for sure.
I don't know if he really deserved it, but
I don't know.
Did he?
No, I mean,
really?
Just from the eye test, that guy's a Hunter Renfroe-esque thrower.
He must have improved.
He has a great arm. He really does.
Okay. So now they all are losing Marcus Semien, who actually defensive metrics from second base were really, really good on his part. But I just see more or less average across the board with a couple standouts, but I guess really no like super net negative or super like, oh man, that's our Gary Sanchez.
Get him out of there, yeah.
Outside of Vlad Guerrero at first, but again, he's at first, and he might eventually move over to DH at some point. So that's where,
or might get better at first and just become an average guy, and that's okay.
Yeah, he's actually
way better
care of himself. Physically, and that's a big part of being serviceable defensively.
Way better results at first base and way better plays that he has made that I thought he would. So good for him for his work ethic.
And if George Springer stays healthy or mostly healthy for a full season, then that should help them in center field as well, though he's 32.5 right now. So they're my number 3. And again, I'm not doing ties, but they're very close to my number 2, who are the Red Sox. And you actually make a lot of valid points about the defense, but maybe it's recency bias with the playoffs and everything that happened and how they position their guys. But I look at Alex Verdugo. Wasn't he a Gold Glove
candidate?
Candidate. Yeah. I don't know if he's necessarily deserving of that, but I looked at Xander Bogaerts, standout. Kike Hernandez, big. Jackie Bradley Jr. I see, at least 3.
That's a better outfield than,
Yes. So that's kind of where I went with them at number 2 as of right now. But it's not, but again, if I could just say like 3A, 3B, it would be the Blue Jays and the Red Sox.
Yeah. So there you go, because we all know who number 1 is. And it was by a landslide, Kevin.
Yeah.
I mean, in all of these metrics that the defensive run saved, defensive WAR, outs above average, the Rays were 7th, 4th, and 3rd, respectively. I mean, they were at the top of so many defensive metrics within the division. I mean, you have to give it to the Rays here, and they know where to position their guys. They know which guys to use at certain times. The Rays are just head, shoulders, torso, kneecaps above all of these 4 teams defensively.
Kevin Kiermaier, Manny Margot, Brett Phillips, Mike Zunino. I mean, Taylor Walls, add him to the equation.
Buddy, when you go look at the 2021 outs above average leaderboard and you go through Manny Margot, Kevin Kiermaier, Brett Phillips, and Joey Wendell before you hit any other AL East competitor, all of those guys rank above any other AL East team.
Yes. And also, I think what gives the Rays a bit of a boost defensively is that they're so familiar and they understand the dimensions and how Tropicana Field plays, where you have road teams that come in and it's like Bad News Bears.
Yeah.
It's the 3-ring circus with, oh my gosh, the ball bounces that high off the artificial turf. Oh my gosh, the ball is rolling that quickly on the infield. Oh my gosh, I lost the ball in the dome. You see a lot of mistakes that it's like, have these guys ever played baseball before here?
It's kind of like practicing in a tougher environment so that when you go out, the game is easier. It's like when when you're trying to get more hops and you put the ankle weights in high school, like, okay, I'm going to get more hops. Same thing. I think playing at Tropicana Field, practicing
they say
there,
it's the best home field advantage.
It's I think really helpful. I mean, maybe not for your knees. Ask Carl Crawford, but it's good for your for your
well, that's the other thing is maybe the Rays. I'm sure they have a system down in workload management and everything like that, but other teams come in and they're not used to that artificial turf and how it plays, and it's like, man, after one game, my knees are killing me here. So I think the Trop. That's basically a Gold Glove defender right there in some shape or form.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yours is
the New York Yankees are my number 5.
Okay.
Orioles are number 4. Red Sox number 3. Blue Jays number 2. Rays. Actually, Blue Jays number 2. Then like 20 feet.
Yeah.
Then the Rays are
point.
number 1.
Good point. I've got the Orioles 5, Yankees 4, Blue Jays 3, Red Sox 2, and the Rays 1, of course. Real quickly, who is the best outfielder in the division?
Call it homerism, but I don't see anybody in a competition beating Kevin Kiermaier.
I agree. Who is the best infielder in the division? Defensively.
That's tough. That one's tough. I was gonna say Xander Bogaerts, but after kind of looking underneath the hood, I wasn't really that wowed. Quickly, I can make this quickly. Infielder. You know what? You said his name. I know he's young. I know it's a homerism too. Dude, what Taylor Walls did in the 2021 season is no joke. His defensive run save metrics were out of this world. Like, he broke the top 10 at a certain point in the 2021 season while only playing like 30 games.
It's crazy, yeah.
So, you know what? If Taylor Walls gets enough playing time, which I think he should be the Joey Wendell of 2021 and 2022, just by playing time, I would put some green Skittles on BetOnline that Taylor Walls is going to be that guy.
So he wins a Gold Glove this year?
I think depending on the playing time, and again, right now with the lockout, playing time could be 80 games to have sufficient time if you're going to have a 120 game season. Regardless, I feel like there's a Gold Glove in his future for sure. 2022, I don't know. I don't know if the playing time will be there.
I'm kind of leaning toward Mike Zunino, but I know that's not really. That almost has to be a different conversation if we're talking about first base, second base, third base, short specifically. I might kind of lean toward Kike Hernandez. I know he played mostly outfield, center field last season, but
he ain't taking center from Jackie.
No, so he's going to get a lot more playing time at second base and maybe some little bit of action at short. And I imagine if you're just sticking at that one position, that you would be pretty darn effective at that one position. So that's just a name to keep in mind as well. Very good. Yeah. All right. That'll do it for today's episode of the Locked On Rays podcast. Thank you for making it your first listen every day. Now make your second listen the Locked On MLB podcast. That is also free and available on all platforms. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.